The portal giveth and the portal taketh away. Ragin Cajuns men's basketball is trying to build towards the 2026 season. Let's break it all down here on Ragin Rundown. What's good, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into another episode here on Ragin Rundown, the show where you will know all things UL sports. I'm your guy, Jamarcus Fitzpatrick, but you can always call me Fitz. And in today's episode, we will be talking about men's basketball. And I feel like we never got to put a bow on last year's season. So before we get into all of the transfer portal additions and also the subtractions that have happened, let's recap the way last season went, which is a year that I'm sure many of you will want to forget. Um, Coming into this year, you had a new head coach in Quantas White that was an assistant at Houston for several years. He takes over your program, so there's a jolt of excitement that comes in, and that quickly goes away after the way things began. You start the season off, you lose 11 of your first 12, and you're 1-11 on the year. So now in that non-conference slate, no one's feeling really good. And then from there, you're able to finish 10-10 down the stretch, but you suffer multiple injuries along the way, and things just don't seem to go your way. It never was able to come fully together in the way that you wanted. This team was put together, but it never really seemed like they were able to click on all cylinders consistently enough to get out of what they had put in coming into the year. Injury wise, Jamyron Keller plays a couple games for you, and then he's out for the season. Sean Elkington never plays a game as a Ragin Cajun. Karis Bilal, who was playing for you towards the back half of the season, was hurt for a good bit of the early parts of the season. And then Joshua Lewis, one of your highest ranked recruits in program history that you signed, true freshman, comes in and he's starting to gain his footing in college basketball, and he tears his patella tendon. He's out for the remainder of the season. So you had four major injuries that really kind of hurt you along the way. You sprinkle in Devion Laverne dealing with a injury somewhere there in the middle, Milan Mejia as well. You had some injuries that you battled throughout the season. And despite everything, you were still only 4 games out of second place. The conference wasn't all that great. You finished 7-11 in conference play, and you were able to still be in a position that if things would have fallen just a little bit differently, you may have very well been in a completely different position. Because if you're in second place, you're in the semifinals, I think, of the Sun Belt Conference tournament, and now you just need to win 2 games to make it to the NCAA tournament. I know this is not a shoulda, woulda, coulda situation, but it was a very few games and situations that if they go your way a little bit differently, you might have had a completely different season. Now, players didn't play all as well as they needed to. Moments didn't happen the way that they needed to. We're not excusing that, none whatsoever. But it just goes to show that how small of a margin it is that wins and losses can truly be. And so this wasn't a total collapse for this season. It was a season where the Cajuns never really got a fair shake throughout the year because of those injuries that we've talked about. But now the part that really defines a program, which is something that Quantas White is trying to build, what defines that program is how they respond. And the response comes when you have a losing season. Normally you have a lot of guys that decide to move out of the program, and you have to bring in new guys into the program. And we're going to introduce you to some of those new guys, and we're also going to talk about some of the guys that have left when we come back here on Ragin Rundown. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode here on Ragin Rundown. We're going to get right back into the action in just a second. But before we do, please do me a favor, like this video, share it, leave a comment down below. But most importantly, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. If you're listening, please follow the podcast feed, rate the show, and leave us a review. So the transfer portal has been extremely active after it opened after the national championship game, I believe on April 2nd. And as I'm recording this episode on Monday, April the 20th, the portal will be closing tomorrow, which is that Tuesday. And thus far, you have lost 8 players. And it's been hard to keep up with these numbers because a lot of these guys haven't truly verbally announced it, or we're finding out through backdoor channels and all these things like that. The first one was Jackson Olvera, who was one of your main scorers offensively for you last season. Michael Mouton, a local product, he transfers to Loyola. Michael Collins, who was a freshman, transfers to Lamar. Dorian Finister, another player that was a huge offensive piece for you, has transferred out as well. Sean Elkington, the guy that we mentioned that didn't get to play for you here as a Raging Cajun, transfers to St. Edwards. Just a couple days ago, you had Karis Bilal to enter the portal, and these two were news to me because I go and I check on 24/7 Sports, and it says that Kyron Ratliff entered the portal on uh, April the 13th, which was last Monday, and then recently Joshua Lewis. I got confirmation for a couple of sources that he has also decided to enter his name into the transfer portal. So 8 of the 17 total players that you once had on your roster are now gone. Um, and to also add on top of that, you had two guys to graduate in Darius Woodson and Milan Mejia. So that's 10 total departures from last year's group. Um, what you have coming back, Jeremiah Evans, who essentially is the last Bob Marlin signee, Todd Jones Jr., Devion Laverne, the North Central product, Christian Landry, Logan Myers, Jamyron Keller, who's recovering from injury, and then Ramen Elijahwan, the son of Houston Rockets great Hakeem Olajuwon, who I believe redshirted this past season and did not play at all. So you're losing a good bit, but you're bringing back some experience. Jeremiah Evans, Todd Jones, Devion Laverne, giving you some quality minutes throughout last season. Jamyron Keller obviously was your starting point guard coming into last year as well. So you're in a much different position. And because of that, you had to load up. You had to go into the transfer portal and you had to try to fill these gaps that you had because now you have 9 roster spots fully. Because I think you can have 15 guys on scholarship officially, but I think you can have a few more on your roster as well. So this is not going to be a tweak at all. This is going to be a complete rebuild. This is more than half of your roster that is gone. You're going to have to bring it back in, but you have a returning group that already understands your culture. They understand what you're trying to build. They know that you want to be a strong defensive team. And then they know that if defense can be at the core of what you do, then you can be able to figure out things offensively as you go along the way. You're going to have these offensive guys to come into your roster and to figure things out, but you got to have defense down pat first. So the biggest question is who are these guys? We're going to take one more quick timeout, and when we come back, we'll talk about all the portal additions and the newcomers that are coming along with the Raging Cajuns when we come back here on Raging Rundown. So, with many exits out of the program, the real story is now who is coming in. The Cajuns have 3 freshmen that they have signed. The first is Tyshawn Duncan, who is from Alexandria. I once covered that high school that he went to, Alexandria Senior High, a very good winning program. He's the number 1 player in Louisiana. He's a defensive anchor, a rim protector, and an immediate impact potentially for you if you're able to develop him over the offseason and give him some quality minutes there. I believe Todd Jones Jr. will probably be one of your main starters, either at the 4 or the 5 spot. And so Tyshawn is going to come in and he's going to push Jeremiah Evans. He's going to push Todd Jones also to compete because, as Quantas White has said multiple times on the record, if guys aren't playing well, he's going to let the bench do the talking, right? So if Tyshawn comes in and he pushes a veteran player, he's going to play. And that's why you want to continue to bring in quality players into your program so you can push those veterans along the way. The second is Isaiah Wilks, who is also the son of Oklahoma City Thunder assistant Mike Wilks. Um, he was the number 2 player in Oklahoma. He's ranked top 30 nationally, and he was the Gatorade Player of the Year for the state of Oklahoma. He's a floor general. He has the potential, and we know that Quantas White has been known for the work that he does with guards and the way that he's able to develop them. So getting a player like that with a pedigree of someone that is literally coaching on a championship caliber team at the highest of levels in basketball, what a great mind that you're going to be able to add to your program, having somebody that can be a true facilitator for you offensively. Again, bringing someone in like that is going to push a Jamyron Keller and a Devion Laverne to continue to compete. Because if this freshman comes in and he's playing well, Quantas will play him. The last one is Zayson Salanoa, who is a 6'7" forward. He's a number 3 player in Texas, top 30 nationally according to Max Preps, and he's a very versatile forward. He's a 3-level scorer. I watched a couple of clips on his Instagram of the way that he plays. Obviously, it is highlights, so it's going to be the best of the best. But he can attack the basket. He has a great mid-range game, and he can shoot the 3 ball when needed. So having an option very similar to what you had Josh Lewis to be before he decided to leave, someone that you can give him the ball and say, hey, go get a bucket. You can create actions for him to go and get the offense rolling based on the way that they play. It's not just, hey, we throwing it down low to him and that's it. Or, hey, we're going to, just shoot the 3 ball and that's it. It's more than that. It's him being able to do all 3 levels of scoring along the way. So you have those 3 freshmen coming in. And then from a transfer standpoint, the Cajuns have initially weren't as active, but have now been a little bit more active as of today. You have Dion Ware, who was committed to you out of the JUCO ranks for quite some times. He is originally from New Orleans. He was at South Plain College, 6'5" guard, averaged 10.3 points per game. South Plains was a 24-8 program last season. He brings in scoring and a winning background. We talked about it multiple times on this show, even with football. When you want to be able to build a winning program, you go get winners. You go and get guys that have played on winning programs. That helps because that then spreads on to other players and it helps them push even harder to want to win even more. And then after that, Makai Cooper, I believe if today is Monday, I think he signed on Friday. Makai Cooper has had stops at Miami of Ohio, and Lindenwood was his last place that he played at. He's a 6-foot guard. He has started in 96 career games. So he has a veteran presence at point guard. And like we have talked about in the past as well, the game is kind of shifting a little bit where you're seeing more veteran players, guys that have good minutes, that have experience being able to help you to win games. It's less about having talented young players and more about having well-developed older players. This is a guy that's been able to do that, and again, can push you and push the guys that you already have on your roster to compete at an even higher level. So initially, when I was building out the rundown for the show, those were the only 2 guys that they had signed. But then as of today, here, Monday, April the 20th, there were 2 other signees that the Cajuns added. The first is Tennessee Tech transfer Danny Pounds, who is a forward. He's 6'8". He's played in 89 career games. 61 were at ODU, and then he transferred to Tennessee Tech. So he was at ODU for 2 seasons. This past year, he averaged 10.6 points per game, 4.9 rebounds a game. He shot 53% from the floor, 79% from the free throw line, and he has 1 year left of eligibility. Also forgot to mention, Dion Ware is a redshirt freshman now, so he'll have his sophomore, junior, and senior season, 3 years remaining. Makai Cooper is a junior, so he'll have 1 more year of eligibility remaining. Danny Pounds is also a junior, so he'll have 1 year of eligibility remaining. He shoots 35% from the three-point line, but he's not exactly a three-point shooter. The numbers are kind of scattered along the game log that I was looking at. But if you need him to shoot the 3, he can. He has it in his arsenal to be able to do it. And then the other signee that they have brought in, which was later in the day, was guard Trent Middleton Jr. This is his 4th school that he will be at, so that is a preference. But his last school that he was at was North Carolina A&T. He's played in 90 games with 37 career starts. In this past season, he averaged 12.5 points per game and 3.1 assists per game. He has 1 year of eligibility. So you have, 7 guys coming back, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys that are transferring in. So 7 returners, 7 transfers. You have 14 guys. You had a roster of 17 last year. So in theory, you have 3 roster spots remaining. You could go with maybe 1 or 2 more guys that you're going to sign, and I'll try to keep my eyes and ears peeled to see who that may be before they actually announce it. But we'll see. We'll see what else the Cajuns are able to add. If I had to imagine, they will add maybe one more forward to the mix because this roster so far looks to be a little bit guard heavy, which Quantas White is the guard whisperer, and he loves to develop point guards and guards in general. So this may be the way that he wants this roster to look. But as it stands right now, you have 14 guys on your roster of what you're going to have going into 2026, and you have now lost 8 players due to the transfer portal. So the portal window closes on Tuesday, April the 21st, and we will be able to figure out what else the Cajuns will be able to sign as they get ready to head into the summer and prepare for the 2026 season. So from what I'm seeing here, you have 3 guys in the freshman class that you've signed, right? And the rest of the transfers that you brought in, 3 of the 4 have 1 year of eligibility. It sounds like to me, or it seems like, and this is purely me speculating, this is my opinion. I think Quantas White is putting all his chips and pushing them to the middle of the table, just trying to win a championship immediately. Like this one isn't about building this season. He is getting experienced guys to go win this one right now. Because as we've talked about in previous episodes, the teams that played some of the best basketball in the Sun Belt were the most experienced teams. So he is going to have a roster with a ton of experience with 3 freshmen, and the rest of these guys are going to be sophomores and mostly juniors, if I'm not mistaken, just glancing at what you have on the roster. We shall see how it all unfolds, and we'll be breaking it down right here on Ragin Rundown the entire time. That's going to wrap up this episode. And if you guys have made it to this point in the video, thank you so much. Please do me a favor, like this video, share it, and leave a comment down below. If you're listening, please follow the podcast feed, rate the show, and leave us a review because that's going to help us get in front of more Ragin Cajun fans just like yourself. I'm your guy, Jamarcus Fitzpatrick. We'll see you guys next time.